Can budgets play a role in ensuring gender equality? Despite the efforts around the world, gender inequalities continue to exist. How can we make these efforts more meaningful and ensure equal opportunities for all? Gender-responsive budgeting is an approach to integrate gender equality objectives into policy, budgetary, and audit processes by asking if revenues and expenditures in a budget reinforce inequalities, reduce them, or promote gender equality. It involves systematic usage of tools and procedures in the budget cycle and uses fiscal policy and administration to promote gender equality. What are some of the GRB tools that can be used at local level to promote gender equality? Sex-disaggregated public expenditure benefit incidence analysis estimates the unit cost of providing a specific service. In addition, it identifies who benefits more or less from the public spending related to this service. For instance, by estimating the unit cost of specific public transport service and calculating the number of men and women using this service, we can evaluate the distribution of budget resources among women and men. Gender-aware public expenditure aims to identify if the priorities and needs of particular groups are met by gathering information on the views of the actual and potential users of publicly provided services through qualitative and quantitative methods. In Albania, a cash transfers program targeted the head of the household, where the majority of cases were men. After a survey on how these funds were spent and a series of focus group discussions with women and men, the government, with the support of UN Women, changed the program in a way that main caregivers directly received the cash transfers. Municipalities allocated and spent additional funds and included other criteria to make the program more inclusive. Sex-disaggregated analyses of budget impact on time use analyzes how changes in government resource allocation impact the way time is spent in households. It also helps answer whether a proposed cut is likely to increase the time men and women spend on unpaid care work. A UN Women report shows that in Europe and Central Asia, on average, 70% of women spent more time on unpaid domestic work compared to 59% of men in April-May 2020. It means that policies during the pandemic have had a high cost in terms of time use for women, and it suggests that investing in the care economy will reduce the burden of unpaid and domestic work of women. Gender-responsive participatory budgeting. Some participatory practices focus on dedicating a proportion of the local budget to finance proposals from civil society, while other approaches work to ensure that women and men have a voice in the planning and budget process overall to impact on how local budget means are allocated. For instance, several municipalities in North Macedonia implemented gender-responsive participatory budgeting through a series of outreach activities to ensure that women's voices have been included in the budget making. As a result, several programs were identified and funded, such as supporting women entrepreneurs, changes in transportation services, and opening new daycare facilities, among others. Public expenditures must be targeted appropriately to benefit both women and men in their diversity, ages, gender, origins, place of residence, among others. Sustainable Development Goal 5, Achieve Gender Equality and Empower All Women and Girls, includes the indicator 5C1, Proportion of countries with systems to track and make public allocations for gender equality and women's empowerment. The Development Agenda for 2030 calls governments to increase transparency on public spending and measure and increase their efforts on tracking systems for gender equality resource allocations. It is clear that in order to achieve de facto gender equality, we must put gender as a core element in budgetary policies and decisions. Budget for equality, budget for women and men.